That's delicious. I'm already like 4 sips of coffee in, and best coffee I ever had. I'm that guy. I'm that guy that every time he has a coffee, every time he has a drink, because he's in a good mood, it's like the best he's ever had. Welcome to the show. My name is Dean, and joining me today for the program, please welcome back Lachlan Cross from 957 Cruise FM, host of The Locker Room, and one of the stars of Kenny versus Spenny, my friend and yours, on tour whenever he wants, cameo whenever you need it, a bar gig whenever you want one. Please welcome Mr. Spencer Rice, ladies and gentlemen, Kenny versus Spenny. Hey, Spen.
Thank you.
Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Good to see you guys.
Can I point out some hypocrisy? I want to just point out some. I sent a picture of something that I just recently bought at Costco. I caved. It's been there for about a month and a half, but they have the Christmas eggnog in the dairy section. And every time I walk by it, I go, I got to get that. No, it's fat guy juice. I don't need that. Like, I caved yesterday. I bought a bucket of fat guy eggnog juice. It's the very creamy, the Costco stuff. People know what I'm talking about. It's the best. Put it in the fridge. Made myself a cup of coffee. Poured it in the coffee. Fantastic. You start making fun of me, which you can't do, Mr.
Why?
Pumpkin Spice. You can't make fun of eggnog if you're a pumpkin
eggnog.
spice fan. No,
I don't care. It's not eggnog. Eggnog is like elephant cum. It's like the worst tasting shit I've ever met in my life, and it's so viscose. It's like pudding. It's like elephant cum pudding, and it tastes worse than that too. I can imagine, even though I've never had
elephant cum tastes like that. Get me a big elephant dick.
Of course,
it's awesome.
I hate it. I don't know anybody that likes eggnog. Like when you talk to someone,
likes eggnog.
Nobody likes eggnog. Nobody. Spenny, do you like eggnog? Yes or no?
First of all, I'm a Hanukkah guy who happens to like Christmas more, so I celebrate Christmas. Right. No, I do not like eggnog. Sorry.
There you go. You're the only guy on the panel that likes eggnog.
Are you still drinking, Spenny?
Yeah.
Okay, then do me a favor. You have to find a bucket of eggnog, find some kind of a rum or some kind of a rye or something, and put fucking eggnog and rye in a drink.
To do anything you just want to do.
You know what I do? I do dark rum, and you got to do the lock mix. You fill the glass. You get a big glass. You fill it with ice right to the top. Then you put half of the glass full of rye. Then put eggnog on the top and mix it up.
Are you getting a feeling for? You're getting a
eggnog
feeling
is so good.
Are you getting a feeling for his alcoholism at this point, Spen?
Like
you got to put a half. What's that?
We're brothers in drink.
I don't know that you are, to be honest with you. I think Lachlan kind of gets. Well, actually, you might be. I think you guys both drink the same amount. How much do you drink on a daily basis, Ben? How many cocktails do you have on a daily basis?
It's not daily. It's probably 3 times a week. I get pretty hammered. I don't even like alcohol.
You just like what it does for you? Is that the deal?
I do.
I don't even like alcohol. So why you have it? What do you have there? A Caesar? Is that a Caesar?
Is beauty. This is I got to show you something here. So this
I don't even like alcohol, but 3 days of the week I'm fucking hammered.
Can you clean your camera? Like just wipe the cum off the.
You can see the what are those called? The horseradish in there, which I add very hot horseradish. And this is something most people don't do. Olives
in your Caesar. I've seen that. Okay.
Pepperoni sticks are also excellent.
Also pepperoni sticks. Or have you ever had the bacon? Like the
strip of bacon in your
no, but that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the thing is like all that stuff. I noticed like Caesars look delicious after I quit drinking. It was like you quit drinking and the Caesars have meat in them. Mojitos come in a can. Vodka soda comes in like a Tetra Pak now. And you're like, oh, why did I quit drinking back then?
What happened to the Bloody Mary?
The Bloody Mary
is the States, isn't it?
I don't like Bloody Mary as much as I like the Caesar. I don't know why.
What's the difference?
Tomato juice versus clam.
Really? So Bloody Mary is clam juice and Caesar is tomato juice, or is it the other way around? Okay.
Yeah, I had a gin Caesar, Spenny.
Yeah.
This year, I think that was the first time I ever had a gin Caesar. It was good. I prefer vodka.
Once.
Me too.
I've had a bourbon Caesar. That was
no bueno. No bueno. Bourbon Caesar?
No,
a little bourbon? That might be pretty good, depending if you get a smoky bourbon, go with the bacon, right? If you can put a little bacon in that bad boy.
I tried the gin martini, which is pretty old school, but I didn't like it as much as vodka.
I don't like gin as much as I like vodka. Although I've had a couple of gins that were made locally. It's a thing now. Like guys are producing gins.
Okay.
Like there's distilleries everywhere in Alberta now. And there's some guys out here that they've got serious chops on making liquor. Like
they know what they're doing.
And yeah, this one guy, White Lightning, Rick, he drops off booze for us, I don't know, every couple of years.
Yeah, like that's who you get your booze from? Some guy named Rick, from White Lightning?
From White Lightning.
Does he brew it in
he's up in Barhead.
Does he brew it in his garage?
I think it's an extension of his house.
But it's free booze, right? You'll do anything for some free
dude. This stuff.
You'll look past the idea that there is quality control when the booze is free.
No, you don't need to worry about that. Nothing lives in a vat of alcohol. You don't need to actually clean anything. Although I think you can use it to clean your fence.
Yeah,
this shit's good. I'm telling you right now. He brought up. What's that?
I was never a gin guy when I drank. It was like gin was like it always tasted like bad mouthwash, like medical grade mouthwash. Every time I had gin, I would drink it if I didn't have anything else because I just liked spending. The whole idea wasn't like, I don't care. It's not like I'm enjoying this. Just want to get faced. Yeah. It's the whole idea.
When we were kids, we used to get shots of vodka or whiskey and a pitcher of water. And we down the shot, drink a glass of water, down the shot. And after about 7 of those, holy guacamole, you were wasted.
Greased, really?
Greased,
like after 7 shots of alcohol? I guess so, because you're a kid, right?
No, but you're doing them like
multiples,
back to back.
To back.
You do 7 ounces in 30 minutes. That gets everybody drunk.
No, I'm talking 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no,
you're
that
just
makes
like
you
riding
sick.
the lightning, like a machine gun. Bang, 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 bang. I get that. All right. Well, it's good.
And the worst things that ever happened to me on alcohol were when I did that.
What happened to you?
Once I passed out in a parking lot in Santa Monica, and when I woke up, I swear on my life, my pants had art on them. Someone painted on my pants. I also had 3 Navy grogs, which was 3 shots of rum, and I went on the half-day cruise out of Malibu, and it was insane. I got so hammered.
But I saving money. Only did the half day.
Yeah.
No, it was awful.
We'll all go through stories. I'm just happy you guys are here. We're going to get a lot of stuff to get to. We're going to talk about a bunch of different shit. We're going to get into why Spenny wasn't allowed to have his phone last week. That's a lot of fun. We're also going to talk a little bit about probably hair. We're going to talk about building a wall around Canada and the United States. I just wanted to quickly bring this up, though, because I don't know, Spenny, if you're a Leaf fan. I'm a Leaf fan.
Yes.
I don't know if you watched the game last night. They lost 6-3. Did you watch that again?
Yes,
Oilers.
I actually
Oilers are shit, too. Laughlin's in Edmonton. Oilers are just a disaster. Both teams, terrible save percentages. Shouldn't have lost that game last night, even though they did, if you're a Leaf fan. I didn't even care about the game last night, though. Did you see hockey analyst Sam Cosentino's hair? By all accounts, nice guy.
No.
But it really took my breath away last night. Now, he's clearly dyed his hair. And every time between intermissions, first and second period. What's that?
You got a picture?
No, well, no, I can get a picture. I just didn't bring it because I don't want to base the guy, because apparently he's very nice and we have common friends and stuff like that. Good for him, I guess. But
let's bring up the fact that he dyes his hair without showing the picture, but mention him freely, his first and last name.
That's my fucking point.
Think Rudy Giuliani. Think Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah, think Rudy Giuliani or Tom Cruise or whoever.
I need a picture.
There he is.
There's a lot going on.
Is that him?
Well, I'm gonna get a picture of him right now. But it was disconcerting because like Sam Cosentino is an excellent hockey guy. He's like an analyst. He's been on TV forever. I worked in the same building as him. He was kind of like salt and pepper, kind of brown, like. And
What's
last night,
look? I don't mind that look.
At the start, well, nobody does. This is my point, and everyone knows, which is why I don't have a problem talking about it. But last night, I'm watching the hockey game, and every time he came on between periods, I laughed. I laughed out loud. I couldn't.
So this is a recent development.
It was last night. The first time I've seen this brand new dyed do. Like it was like because it was like salt and pepper, kind of brown, sort of short, and now it's like a fucking dyed helmet. Like, you don't want to touch it just in case you might mess something up. And I don't even know if most of that's his real shit, but he's got more hair, and it is very dark, and it is a very different color than his eyebrows. And I couldn't take my eye. Have you not?
I've never
dude, you got to watch.
Revolving around hair. I don't.
This is my thing.
I'm bald.
So I was actually, and it started, and maybe because I had an excellent indica last night, but it started my mind going, and I wrote a piece on this whole thing because I thought to myself, don't, like, guys, especially old dudes, listen, women, different. If you're gonna dye your hair like platinum blonde or green, different. But old guys that are denying their age, like saying to themselves, you know what? If I do this, I'm gonna feel younger, and no one's gonna know. Like, living in this weird fucking alternative reality where it's like, dude, I saw you last week. You were salt and pepper. Now you're jet black. You look ridiculous. But my question is, do you know people that do this, and do you not feel put off by it?
Stories.
Do you not feel like when you meet a guy, if it's your friend or you see someone in public, like, you clearly, when you look at a dude that's dyed his hair, you can clearly tell, and you stare right at him, and he looks at you and he gives you the judgy eyes, or he's like, I know you're looking at my hair, and you're like, dude, how can I not fucking look at your hair? Like, it is absolutely unnatural because the carpet doesn't match any of the curtains or any of the placemats. Like, it doesn't match your eyebrows, doesn't match your goatee, and your face looks like a prune, so we know, like, you're over 70. There's no way you have dark hair. Am I being mean by saying it is rude of men to dye their hair at a certain age, Spenny? Is it wrong of me?
Well, first of all, I'm looking at that picture. I'm not sure it was hair dye. It looked more like brown shoe polish, but that's okay.
That's not him. That's somebody else,
no,
right?
I'll get the Sam Cosentino picture.
Okay, all right.
That is my. Look at the top. That is shoe polish, my friend, or latex paint. I'm not sure what's going on there. And the mustache. Here's the deal. I can talk about this for hours, about my personal issues with the hair dye, and they're not negative issues, they're positive issues. But
hold on, you dye your hair?
I have been dyeing my hair since I was in my early 30s.
You're kidding.
And it just so happens, hang on.
I didn't know.
Look at, you see, I look like a chemo patient, but it's actually just the gray roots.
Okay.
All right. You got gray roots. So
when did you go gray? When did you go gray?
Well, my mom, I went white, not gray, like in my early 30s.
Okay.
It started happening. I shouldn't say.
I think Dean looks good with the white hair.
Yeah, of course.
No, it doesn't, because of the black eyebrows, which also are getting a couple of grays in there. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah. You look good. Actually, you sound better when you get closer to the microphone.
But here's the thing. I have a youthful face, a fat face.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have a lot of wrinkles. That guy, what's his name? Constantino or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, he has not been genetically blessed.
Gus.
I have been. So he looks like an old dude with shoe polish on his head.
Yeah.
Tom Jones, same thing.
Yeah.
And yet,
I'm trying to find a picture.
I forgive them. Oh,
Steven Seagal, another like terrible fucking hair dye job.
Steven Seagal, that looks like a.
I have to find a picture, you guys.
Donald Trump, another terrible fucking hair dye job. Like, everybody knows, even though he sits and denies that he's done it, which is really the shitty part. How about my friend Rudy Giuliani sweating his hair dye off his face a couple of years ago when he was?
Can I please finish my point? My point is that there's a thing called ageism.
Yeah.
And I think they're worried more about that than they are about how their particular face at their particular age looks with the hair dye, frankly. And I'm in favor of it. I like laughing at it when it's bad. So that's a plus. It's like the Celebrity Cellulite edition on National Enquirer. It was my favorite one. They don't do it anymore. That's the problem with woke culture. So I'm 100% in favor of hair dye, especially when it looks like that. Steven Seagal, that's a wig. I mean, I don't even know what that was. Look at that.
I know what that is. Hang on. I'm trying to find a picture. I know what that is.
That's a merkin. That's what that is.
No,
that's that is terrible, dude. And it's like the hair dye. Like, there's two different ways to do it. I've really kind of discovered.
I read about
I actually took a deep dive last night because I was high after I saw Cosentino's hair. Here's Cosentino. There he is, right? I mean, the hair needs to match the fucking eyebrows and the you know. And listen, more power to him. I know.
That's not that bad.
Good guy. No, but it was like that's not last night. Last night was like, oh my god, like that was a bad dye job. What do you got? Who is that?
That's me. That's me trying to do. Who did you just have on the guy in Russia?
Oh yeah, Steven Seagal. Did you paint? Because that's the other one, right? You can dye your hair.
Yeah, but he uses
if
paint.
you don't have hair, there are guys that like paint their skulls.
Yes.
Like remember Ray Lewis used to do it,
or that guy Miller who worked for Trump. Did you see when he did it for one day? Got lambasted because he blacked his head with black.
Yeah,
I love.
Here's the question I have, but I don't because it's rude to people like us that don't do it, right?
Why,
and what you're
why
saying
are you bothered
is,
by other people doing this?
Yeah,
because it's rude. It's rude when people dye their hair for two reasons: men specifically, and only older men. Because it's like announcing to the world you have a problem being yourself, and you have no confidence who you are, so you have to try to cheat your way into getting with a younger chick
and
or
that's
something.
Funny.
I don't know what the fuck it is.
That's
What's
funny.
that? It's not funny.
It is funny.
And then here's the other thing. No, it isn't.
It's
what losers do.
These guys, like we were laughing. We bring
because they're losers.
Joy to the world.
Because they're trying to suspend time. They're trying to beat Father Time, and they're going to lose every time.
I don't. I agree with you. I think that it is a sign you're not comfortable with who you are. But
100%.
I don't think they're losers. I think it's a sign of insecurity.
It's a neon sign that says, I do not like myself. And for women, that's a huge turnoff. And I'll tell you this, because my significant other, she's significantly younger than me, and I got this head full of white hair. And you know what she says to me? It's the hottest. She's like, you rock that hair. I'm like, yeah, that's right. You know how many compliments I get on this stuff? Because I don't touch it, because I'm not afraid to do whatever this is, because I'm just me.
What if you're bald?
To me?
Dean, if I did
care
what
less.
you did, my hair would be roughly your color, but look at my eyebrows.
Yeah.
So
they're
white hair with these Groucho Marx fucking glasses. Eyebrows.
You would look a million times better.
I agree.
I didn't know you dyed your hair because you always wear a hat when you're on the show. And so I didn't
look how bad
do this break to sewer you. But
take your hat off. Take your hat off. Take your hat off.
Take your hat off. Let me see.
You look like a tool. Let it go. Honestly.
No, but it's not dyed. If I had dyed it, by the way, if I had dyed it yesterday, you wouldn't even know that I had any white hair.
Okay,
So do you stand in front of the mirror in the powder room? Like how many times a month do you have to stand there with like my mom's like plastic gloves on and do all that?
Based on what you pay me for these podcasts, I don't have a powder room. Okay, I have to go to the fucking outhouse next door.
Okay, we were.
I'm vain. We're all vain. Why are you pushing?
To a certain extent, I think what Dean's saying though is this: it's the next level of showing your insecurity. I got a quick story. So. When I first started at this new radio station, 95.7 Cruise FM, there was a guy that was doing afternoon drive. And shortly after I got there, like, I'm not going to say, well, I don't care. His name's Gary. Anyway, Gary was working in the afternoons and he had a hairpiece. And it was so blatantly obvious that he had a hairpiece.
Hilarious.
So I start making jokes on the air because he's doing this bike thing. He's doing this thing in the morning, and he was doing cut-ins in the morning, and so I start making fun of the fact that he's got a hairpiece, and I'm like, do you have a hairpiece that ties into your bike helmet? Like, how does that work? And so I'm cracking all these jokes, and my GM is standing outside of the control room on the window going, what are you doing? And I'm like, what do you mean? What am I doing? Told a couple more jokes, get into music. She comes running in and she goes, oh my God, no one talks about Gary's hair. And I went, what? Nobody? How can you not?
This is my point.
How can you not?
This is my point. This is my whole point.
He's had a hairpiece for 25 years. It looks like a hairpiece. It looked like roadkill on his head.
That's the rude part, because they do that to their hairs, and we'll get to hair pieces in a second. Let's go back to the hair dye. They dye their hair. Men dye their hair where they show up to a family reunion.
Beard.
You saw them last year.
That's even worse.
They dye their hair and their beard, and it's totally different color.
Black.
And they're standing there looking at you like this the whole time.
Dean, you're very disingenuous. Because
I'm not. I'm
you're
telling
laughing.
The truth.
When we show the pictures, you're laughing. So it does bring joy to you. Because laughter is
it does.
What I'm saying is, when a guy walks in with hair dye that's awful or a bad wig, that's gold. Man.
I judge him immediately.
We need more of that, a lot less.
No, we don't. No, we don't. You know why? Because they'll look at you, and this happens to me all the time. Because I'm in the middle. I look at guys' hair. I look at people's hair when I talk to them, right? So it's like it gives everybody a complex all the time. So when I'm talking to someone that's got dyed hair and they catch me looking at it, because here's the thing. I'm one of those guys when I see someone with dyed hair or a hairpiece, I can't look away. I have to stare at it.
You're enjoying it. You're enjoying it. You're so wrong. Oh my God. Look at that face.
What is that?
I was in the elevator going up to work one day.
I'm not done. I don't need one of your quick stories right now. So here's the thing here, because it won't be a quick story. Here's the thing. When they do that, it's like they're trolling. It's like they dye their hair and then they walk down the street and they give you side. Everybody they walk by side eye, and they're like, "Are you going to look at my hair? Are you going to?" And if 1 second you make eye contact with that guy, because I can't hide my displeasure with people that do that to themselves. I think they look ridiculous. So when these guys look at you and they're like this, I'm like, oh my God, you look ridiculous, right? Like they have to know. They have to know that everybody knows. And for them to say with their eyes that I know that you know, but don't say a fucking word, I find that to be the biggest joke in the world, because of course I have to say something.
Why are you angry about it though?
Because it's rude.
He's not. He's feigning anger. Lachlan, he's feigning anger. Look at him. Does that look like
I know. I had a moment, and Spenny, I kind of, like I said, I'm in the middle. I think Dean's onto something, but it is funny and it does bring joy. I was on my way into work one day to go to a meeting, and we had like a big staff meeting, and I get in the elevator with a guy who will remain unnamed. Jake does afternoon drives on the other station. So anyway, Jake, I'm on my phone. Jake goes, hold the door. So I hold the door for him. He walks in. I'm on my phone. I look up and I can see he just had a fresh dye job.
Yeah.
And it's leaking, and he's got a little drip of hair dye down to his forehead. It was on his forehead. I swear to God.
Like that. Like Rudy.
It was a hot day. It was in the middle of the summer. And there was a moment where I was like, I was pointing at it, and I was going to go, hey, Jake, you might want to deal with the hair dye dripping out of your hair. And then I had a moment where I had a Spenny moment where I was like, no, I'm going to let him go into that meeting.
Yes.
And everyone's going to see it, because everyone needs to get the same amount of joy out of this that I'm getting. So I didn't tell him. And I'm the guy that tells you when you got a big piece of snot hanging out of your nose.
Never tell them.
I do. I tell people. Never. I'm the guy. I'm the guy that tells them. You got something in your beard.
My wife and I were at the mall in Kingston, Ontario. There was a lady. She was about 63 years old. She had a big wad of fucking mayonnaise that was hanging like an icicle. We laughed for 2 hours. Just watch. If anybody went up to her and told her, I would have punched the person, because it was so much fun. You guys, honestly, you got to go more towards me, Lachlan, because I think it's a shtick. Dean's doing this.
No, it's not. Can I ask you a question then? I'll tell you how I know it's not a shtick, because it literally physically brings out an emotional reaction from me, and I'm being serious. I laughed last night looking at Sam's hair, and then I started Googling pictures of people with bad dye jobs, laughed for like fucking half an hour, and then I got angry because I thought to myself, like, and because here's the thing. Do you know, Spenny? Do you know that everybody else knows? Like, do you walk around giving a shit or not? Like, are you paranoid at all? Okay, well then you're like 1 in a million.
No, but then you can say, well, why do you dye your hair if you don't give a shit? And so on that level, I give a shit, but I don't give a shit if I look. You know what happens with the sideburns when you dye them? It drips.
Sure.
Right. And sometimes I go out and I've tried to wipe it off, but it won't come off. I don't give a shit. But okay, God, good. Please let us laugh at these people. My dad.
That's what I'm saying. Is it rude for us to laugh?
No.
Okay.
Oh, well, yes. No, I take that back. You have to laugh.
That's my point. If it's rude,
it's only rude if you do it in front of them. Right. It's way better when you do it behind their back.
Right. I had no idea you were such a wet blanket, Dean Blundell.
Oh, I do. Okay, so pick one. Pick one. You're going bald. Okay, pick one. Hairpiece or paint on head?
Hairpiece.
I'm painting it on because that's more fun. You get to be crafty.
Okay.
You can use tape. One day I could have a 2-head, and then the next day I could have a 6-head.
Guys are doing guys are doing tattoos now who are going bald.
Yeah, they're this is my next question. Yeah. Tattoos?
No.
Or paint?
You know who wore a hairpiece?
I'm sticking with the paint.
You know who wore a hairpiece? Frank fucking Sinatra. End of story. Yeah. End of debate. Move on.
All right. Sorry. Yeah,
he also beat all his wives.
Came in the room.
And by the way, if I do get to the point that I have a hairpiece, I'm going to be taking it off like a hat sometimes for a laugh because I want to love life. And we'll get into this when we start talking about Israel.
Yeah, we will in a second. But I do want to say that speaking of hair dye and jobs, I want to lean into this just for a second.
That's a hairpiece.
Because Donald Trump has been, that's obviously a hairpiece, and it's dyed, so he's got the double asshole. That's the guy, right? That's the example of the people that I make fun of is that cock. But let me just say this: Vegas put out odds, and
they're not cheap.
Lachlan was a big fan. Lachlan was a big fan of the idea that Donald Trump will never go to jail. I know Spenny had his phone taken away last week because he's into two topics. His wife took his phone away because he's into like American politics and this Israel Gaza thing. Now we'll get to it in just a second. But I don't know if you guys saw this. Vegas odds have Donald Trump going to jail by a wide margin, and you can find these odds on Bodog. Like literally.
State trial.
Yeah.
Yes.
So. Here are the odds. Will Donald Trump be found guilty of one or more of the 2020 presidential election Georgia result charges? Minus 325 for yes. So it's like basically it's like 2 out of 3 out of 4 people are saying, yeah, he's going to fucking jail. And they don't put these odds up there to lose money. They put odds up there to win money, right? So no is plus 225. Will Donald Trump be found guilty of one or more of the classified? Nothing. No, you are. You're making plus 225 on a $100 bet, right? It's going to take you $325 to win $100 if you vote yes. That's how this works. Will Donald Trump be found guilty? Again, 3/4 of the people say yes. Will Joe Biden pardon Donald Trump? The answer is absolutely fucking not. But like you were talking about this a couple weeks ago, Lachlan. You were absolutely sure there's business records in the state trial, election results, prison.
I still don't think he's going to go to jail.
Dude, he is going to jail. Spenny, you don't think so?
I don't. And I not only do I think he might get off, I think he might become president again. I also think that if it looks like he's going to go to jail, he's going to run.
I don't think he's going to be allowed to. He's being taken off the ballot in Colorado. I think the same thing's happening in Maine. I think the same thing's happening in New Hampshire. I think the same thing's probably going to happen in New York after this. Guaranteed it's going to happen in Georgia.
I literally don't care anymore. I don't care.
And here's the thing. I kind of do now. Like I didn't then. Like I spent 4 years investing myself into this. This guy cannot not go to jail. And then he loses and he keeps the grift up. And I'm like, fuck, I'm just exhausted. But now I'm at that point where you get a break from all the war coverage and you see Donald Trump and his sons walking into jail. And you see his daughter walking into jail, who, by the way, still looks absolutely fantastic. But you see these things happening, and then you see Vegas come out with odds, and these guys want to make money, right? So they're goading people into taking some of those bets. And they're saying, hey, take this bet. You'll win $225 on a $100 bet. Not going to jail. What they're saying is that, because listen, Vegas odds makers, they talk to enough people and they make sure that they can rig those odds in their favor. So I don't know who they're talking to, but if you look at those Vegas odds, they're talking to somebody in some office with some legal accountability in this process that says he's going to jail, boys.
I find it remarkable that Dean seems to be attracted to what's her name, Ivanka Trump. She's had more plastic surgery than Zsa Zsa Gabor. She just got cheekbones put in about a month ago.
Oh, did she?
So apparently a guy can't try to look young, but she's allowed to alter her body in any way, shape, or form. And you don't
total double standard. Yeah, no, I don't at all, because I don't police women. It's their body, their choice. When it comes to men, because I'm a man, I'm totally allowed to weigh in and mock them. That's how this works. I'm
kind of on board with Dean. If women want to do something to enhance their looks, I mean, just based on what we put them through, I would never ever mock a woman for doing it. Unless they're open to it. Like Joan Rivers, she opened the door to the comments about plastic surgery, so I was fine with it. But I kind of agree. Men kind of have it coming in that regard. If you're altering your looks or whatever. Here's my thing about Trump. I had like this sort of weird sort of peaks and valley with him when he won, because I was like, how did this happen? How in anyone's right mind do you go behind a cardboard box in a school gymnasium and write that tool's name down? Like there's nobody that will ever explain to me. I don't care what you do. I don't care how many years of political science you have. You will never explain to me how that man won the presidency. No, because people have, and I understand all the. I get all the pundits. But here's the thing.
I'm not a pundit.
I'm at a point now, and I was angry about it for a long time, and I raged about it on the show, and then I just sort of settled into this realization that everyone is so mad at politics and political figures that they're just like, they're willing to fucking put a bomb in the middle of their country in the name of Trump and blow it up. That's kind of where we're at. And we're on this, we're nowhere near as extreme in Canada, but we're closing in on that. Like, that's where we're at with politics. And not only that, the other thing is, nobody in their right mind gets into politics. You have to be a criminal. So I think we've sort of succumbed to, as a society, okay, anybody that's running for politics has some ulterior motive and is probably got criminal intentions, or will be talked into being a criminal when they get there.
At least you're not cynical.
Yeah. Way to not generalize. That's awesome.
But I'm telling you right now, every political figure in this country and in the United States of America is on the take. You will not convince me otherwise.
Lots of them are. I don't know if every single one is, but
every single one.
Majority are.
There's no such thing as an honest
politician. Not only are you cynical, you're open-minded too.
Yeah. So anyway, here's my thing. Here's my thing with Trump. You just have to settle for a certain amount of, I don't get the world we're living in, and it's over. Like, just, it's a sign. If he gets in again, we all just need to give up, on life in general. Like, if they vote him in a second time,
I'm already there.
On.
I talked to Ray Maida about that a couple months ago, and he's like, "Yeah, if he gets in again, we're moving back to Canada."
You can't explain that away.
Hang on. I want Spenny. You said you think you can explain it. And,
it's simple. It's not complicated.
Yeah.
It's two things. Only two things: hatred of government and hatred of liberals. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Nothing more, nothing less.
Religious extremism?
Well, that's wrapped up in it, but no, I don't think so. I think it's America hates the government. I mean, that's why that's how the country was founded.
Man, and we're getting here. We're getting there in Canada.
Yeah,
we're getting really close. We are.
I have to say, I don't know why you would wait to stop caring until if he gets elected again. I have stopped caring about 2 weeks ago.
Why? What happened?
You said exactly the same thing.
It was like an epiphany. It was an epiphany that I'm a comedian and a musician. I'm on this wretched cesspool of a site called X, and it's making me unhappy. Like, I'm literally getting depressed and angry, and I'm doing it to myself.
Yeah.
There's no way of knowing what the truth is anymore. There's a flood. They flood the zone with disinformation. I call Dean once in a while and I text him because I think he does his research and he's a smart guy. I'm not. I don't do much research. And I realize that it's absolutely pointless to care. The most important thing is that I'm happy and I'm making money and I'm taking care of my family. And I'm just out of the politics game. I'm done. I
love how you put money before family too. Number one, number two. I know money makes the family work.
I'm Jewish, of course.
Dean. The last time I was on this podcast, with Spenny.
Yeah.
Old Slappy here. He said exactly the fucking same thing.
Did I?
Well, dude.
Yeah. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
you
you
just
did.
drove it home.
You did
exactly. I want to see tape. I never said I was going to stop.
Almost fucking verbatim. Like,
okay.
You had given up. You were off Twitter.
So let me ask you this.
It was making you unhappy.
You and I are texting.
You were a musician and a comedian, and you had to, and you didn't want to.
Yeah, you want to argue about me being a comedian?
Outlet.
That's a reasonable thing. But
so and let me just kind of backtrack, because Spenny and I text quite a bit, and he is correct. He'll send me a text. He'll say, "What about this?" And we'll talk about it. "What about that?" And we'll talk about it. And the frustration over the past few weeks because of the Israel-Gaza stuff's been off the charts, right?
That stuff is
and so he sends me a text, and he's like, "Dude, my wife took my phone away. I just gave it to her." I'm like, "I can't do this anymore. It's just not for me." And I'm like, yeah, totally, because it's just not for me either. And we had like some interesting kind of back and forth. And I want to kind of get into that because like you and I both know people. You are Jewish. I know people who are Palestinian in the entertainment game, in the media game. And you watch people take sides, right? Like it's all we've been watching is people take sides. And whatever side they take, they tell the other side that they are anti-Semitic, or they're terrorists, or they support genocide. There's no middle ground in this argument or this discussion, right?
Right.
So here's the thing. I have a completely different opinion, and I'm going to share it with you, is that everything that is done in the name of Abrahamic violence, meaning Christian and Muslim radical extremism and violence, is done by men behind those groups and those religious organizations who want money, minerals, land, oil. All the stuff works the same everywhere. It doesn't fucking matter who you are. So I have publicly stated two things and two things only. One, I am on the side of innocent civilians, and that is it. I am not on the side of a country. I am not for geography. When someone says, God bless this piece of land or God bless that piece of land, I say, fuck your God, because I am not interested and I do not believe those things. Mm-hmm. Number one. Number two, and this is really, really important, okay, is that innocent people are being murdered by terrorists and authoritarian governments, mm-hmm. and people who don't give a shit about the cannon fodder of human capital that they continue to destroy and kill every single day. So I don't get into the back and forth. And I basically shined every piece of content that came out of that area of the world where people were telling me what was going on and what I should believe, right? Now, I am not Jewish. I am not Palestinian. So it's much easier for me to zoom out, Spen. Like, it's way easier for me to go, you know what? I see this from a different perspective, and I am firm in my belief system. For someone like you,
that's worth saying out loud. I want to highlight that because that's the difficult part when you're watching this outside looking in and you don't have an immediate connection to one side or the other. Mm-hmm. It's very difficult to watch this because people are dying. And that is very much worth highlighting, Dean, that you don't have that connection. And I think that's part of the frustration when you're talking about this in a setting like this or at work with a group of people, because you're automatically sitting there hoping you're not going to offend somebody based on someone's connection to these cultures, right?
Is that accurate?
That's the other problem with it, right?
Yeah, I mean, not for me, but I'm not going to talk about it, to be honest with you, because this is. I would like to see tape of me saying that I was seriously not going to use Twitter or talk about politics anymore. It might be true. I'm not denying it. Lachlan, you probably have a good memory. Look, the reality is it doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't. That the social media platforms, they're engineered towards making money for someone else, and they're engineered to have us attack each other. And I'm done. I maybe I'm full of shit. Maybe Lachlan's right. I'll be back on your show in 3 months.
What do you mean you're done? What do you mean you're done? Like what you're done?
Since I've made the decision, my wife didn't take away my phone, Dean. I gave her my phone. I took it away from myself. And I told her to hide it. And I went through a withdrawal process. I'm still going through it. And it's not a joke. It's an addiction. And I know about addiction. I had a similar feelings that I've had when I've gotten off of other things that I was addicted to. It's not that I'm not going to be involved with politics in my personal life. I've always been a political junkie. I find it the most interesting things of all. I'll have talks in bars with people, but I'm no longer going on social media and saying A, B, and C to have a bunch of people attack me on the comment section. It's just not fun anymore. There's just not fun anymore. And if I can't change anything, and I know what I believe and I feel very strongly about it, that's enough. All I can do is vote. That's all I can do at the end of the day is vote. And that's what I'm going to do.
Do you feel like so you talk about what was that experience? Because you and I have talked a couple of times about like you having personal experiences talking to people about what's going on over there, where people were just fucking anti-Semitic assholes.
Well, yeah, I mean it's all over the internet. I don't even know the zone is so flooded that I don't even know what what is anti-Semitic. The old story used to be you can be against Israeli policy and not be anti-Semitic, which I do believe is true. But what's going on now is something else, and I'm stepping away from it. I have my beliefs, very strong beliefs. I believe my views are correct. And I just don't feel the need to talk about it publicly anymore. And it's not what I do. Really, at the end of the day, it's not what I do. And some fans are a little disappointed. Most probably are happy, but I don't really give a fuck. I've never cared about what they think. It's what's good for me, for my family. I've started playing more music. I started doing more stuff around the house. I'm spending more time with my family, and I'm happier for it. And by the way, the feeling of wanting to opine about any number of things, which I like to do publicly, is still there. I'm just not allowing it to. It's just like quitting cigarettes. You don't have that one cigarette because as soon as you have that one, you're going to want to have half a pack, and then you're full blown smoker again. That's how I'm looking at it. That's it. It's not anything other than that. But these social media sites that I've been saying for a long time, Lachlan, they are rigged against all of us, and they're toxic for me. By the way, I'm just speaking for myself. I'm speaking for myself.
Can you not? But when you're not engaged, so one of the things I saw all the time, and I was talking with Mark Saltzman about this, as a matter of fact, just in text. Our tech guy, great dude, Mark Saltzman. If you've seen him, your tech report, great dude. And he's like, I've been off since this whole thing started. And I'm like, how do you manage as a Jewish man? How do you manage talking about this? He's like, I can't anymore. Much like Spenny. He's like, I can't voice an opinion because it's not even, I don't know about you, Spenny, but
it's not can't, it's won't for me. I
won't. Won't, because, and that's the problem, because, speech should be free, you should be allowed to voice your opinion without being attacked for it. But the vitriol, depending on what side you support, and by the way, supporting one side or the other when you can't zoom out and see what's actually going on there, that just means you're a rube. But
I don't agree with that. Without saying tipping my hat, I don't agree with that.
I think that people are pawns in a bigger picture. That's why I find it very frustrating to. I think religion is a way of controlling the population.
Yeah,
that's such a easy answer. To zoom out. What the fuck does that mean? I mean,
I'll tell you what it means for me.
Shit goes on in the world. Whether
I know it does, and it's been going on in the world for hundreds of years. That fight is going on.
I think people are being played by being involved in.
And I'll tell you why it bothers me, and this is why it bothers me, because my heart breaks for innocent civilians that were murdered by a terrorist attack 3.5 weeks ago by Hamas, which is
horrible, but it happens in every war. Why all of a sudden is it? Why is this war? You know how many civilians were killed in Iraq or any other war that you care to talk about? It's horrible, horrible, horrible. But it's just too easy to say that. Like I don't mean you have to take a side, but to say that there's no right and wrong. There's no. It's a very nuanced conversation.
Totally. Totally, it is.
Social media is not where you're going to find nuanced conversation. You might find in the bar drinking a Guinness with someone.
So let me ask you a question. As someone who is not Jewish, as someone who is not Palestinian, Spenny, as someone who's just told you that I have to zoom out, and I'll explain that in like less than 15 seconds. Zooming out is saying, hey, listen, I understand the Abrahamic war that's been going on in that region for thousands of years. I understand the men and the fascist dictatorial religious governments that are involved in there, from Iran to Syria to, I understand the response from the Israeli people. I do not understand the death that is going on in Gaza right now. I do not understand why Hamas, well, I do, because they want to wipe Jews off the face of the earth, and they won't stop till they do. So something has to happen, and that I understand. But my zooming out is that it is all bad. What I've seen when it comes to war is all bad. When I see it when it comes to this response from Israel, I think it is all bad. But I don't think they have a choice. And so when it comes to how I feel about all genocide, all murder in the name of any religion or mineral rights or oil wills or captains of industry deciding that they're going to hide behind government or they're going to hide behind religion.
Or even crazier, a piece of land that somebody decided was sacred for some reason. Like,
that's me zooming out. And so when I say that, and people will say that's disingenuous if they're religious, right? If they have some kind of Abrahamic Muslim or Christian or Zionist horse in the game, is it too simplistic of me, as someone who just can't watch it, as someone who supports the innocents and that's it? Is that too simplistic of a thing, and is it disingenuous for people like me?
It's unrealistic. It's not the way humans operate, unfortunately. I wish they did. I mean, anybody who wants civilians to die is crazy, in my opinion, and hateful and a bigot. I'm not so sure this war is about religion at this point anymore. It's probably more about occupation, and then you've got the religious zealots on both sides that are inflaming the situation. But once October 7th happens, I don't know. It's a real thing that happened, and I think reactions are human nature, and they're going to happen. And I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong, because I'm not giving that away. It's my business what I think of it at this point. And but it just seems pie in the sky to not at least try to understand both sides, where they're coming from, and then try to work towards peace.
Well, now you're defending Dean.
Thanks, buddy.
I don't have any exactly what he's saying. You have to take a step back. You have to take an outside look at this and go, come on, like what? How?
No, that's not
taking aside.
Lachlan, that's not when he says I'm only for the civilians. That to me is what I'm not against it. I just think it's not.
That's not a simplistic view of this at all. The simplistic view of this is going, okay,
what I'm saying
you have to pick a side.
But that's the thing that everybody is. That's why everybody is putting a flag on the end of a broomstick and clogging up Union Station and preventing people from getting home in Canada, which is again my problem. And again, this might be too much of a militant Canadian white guy perspective, but my problem is when something that's going on, that has been going on for a couple hundred years on the other side of the planet, prevents people from getting home to their families or getting to work to support their families in this country because we feel like we have to protest in the name of whatever God you believe in or whatever religious ideology you've adopted because your parents told you to. That's a problem for me. I'm
against war, but you show me one war that's ever happened in human history where civilians didn't die. That's what seems the disconnect for me. As sad as it is,
Spenny, you're not wrong.
I want fucking peace. Yeah. But here we are. It's just too easy to say that to
Everybody wants the same thing. Ultimately, the end goal is why can't they just stop? But then the other part of the equation is if they stop, what's the end game? Like that, I mean, that's where I'm at right now. That's why I'm so disgusted by the coverage. Because what they did on October 7th is
terrorist attack.
You can't question them doing what they're the response. You can't question it. But then you can question, okay, now innocent people are dying. And then man, it's so complicated to have an out.
It's the disproportionality of it. I think we're all reacting to.
Yeah.
Well, and that's part of it.
Largest military power in the world, and they're pounding the fuck out of the Gaza Strip, which is, let's be honest, full of poor people, probably.
Yeah.
And yeah, I get that. I get that. I'm just saying that I don't know.
The lack of the conversation for me, that drives me crazy is that because and again, at some point, somebody, I don't care who, whether they're on a side or not, has to sit back and go, okay, why are we here? Like, why is this happening? And that, I mean, we're a long way from, but again, it's complicated. It's nuanced. That gets thrown in everybody's face all the time. But it's 2023, Spenny. It's 2023. At some point, I know you don't want a war. Nobody wants it. But at some point, somebody has to take a step back and go, okay.
The settlers want it. Hamas wants it. This is what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody, no one's going to sit down and go, why did this happen? Why are we here?
Well, I know why we're here. I know why we're here, because some terrorists decided to go and attack some people in Israel who were just minding their own fucking business, going to concerts and shit. That's why we're here today. Why are we here overall? Because Muslim extremists and Christian extremists have been propagandized for hundreds of years into hating the fuck out of each other. That's why we're here. That's why these people are taking up arms and they're like committing jihad or murdering children in the name of whatever God or whatever country, because you are the chosen people or they're the chosen people. None of them are the chosen people. They're just suckers for a cult. That's how I believe.
Linda said something interesting here. This world needs Jimmy Carter, Anwar Sadat, Menachem Begin, and you can throw in the Rabin who was murdered. Of course, unfortunately, you have Benjamin Netanyahu in power when this happened. Mm-hmm. You got conspiracy theories that he let it happen so he could do this. I don't know what the fucking truth is, but I can tell you what Netanyahu's going to do, and he's doing it. And he was elected, apparently, in Israel. And, I don't know. And
Hamas was elected in Palestine.
Absolutely. You know what? I was thinking about it, too. If we were in Canada, let's just say the roles are reversed, right? Let's just say the United States is a little strip of Canada. We'll get to that wall they want to build, by the way, in just a second. Let's just say the United States is just a strip of Canada, right? And let's just say they incurred into our territory and killed 1,400 of our people, including women and children, and then took like 200, 300 people hostage. Every single Canadian would say, burn it to the ground.
Yeah.
Every single one. Mm-hmm. There wouldn't be, and the ones that wouldn't, we'd be mocking. We'd be calling them not patriot. What's that, Spen?
I was a woke supporter. Now I'm not so sure anymore, because an element of, obviously I'm for the woke aspects of fairness, equality, teaching real history, but there appears to be an element of the woke and the left that I'm extremely disturbed by. Because I'm not taking a side in this. I publicly anyways, because it's too complicated. But there are people that are marching. A friend of mine's a brother-in-law. It was I saw a picture of him with to the river to the sea thing. White guy. There's a trendiness happening or something, and I know what it is, because when you're young, you want to get behind something. You've got time. You've got energy. You've got self-righteousness. For me, when I was a kid, I became a militant vegetarian. So I can see why this happens. The problem I have with it is that there seems to be not enough historical knowledge, not enough nuance, not enough truth. Mm-hmm. That it seems trendy to me, and some celebrities. I mean, it's just it's a tragedy on both sides. I
think you have to be a little bit forgiving, not from the side taking, but from people's absolute. Because I'm going through this. I don't know what the answer is, Spenny. I don't. No one wants this.
The answer is what that girl said. You get politicians running countries who actually want a peace, and they figure out how to make it happen. Will not happen with Netanyahu. It will not happen with the settlers that are expanding illegally into the thing. There's too much hatred and distrust.
And to your point, it's been so difficult to like weed through who's right or weed through facts, because to your point, the radical left, right? They're just as hateful as the radical right when it comes to this kind of stuff. Like I see people that were involved in, the trans, book shit on both sides at the same rallies. No, hang on, let me finish. At the same rallies, Now they're just militant for the Palestinian people or Gaza or Hamas. There's a big gray soup in there. But it's people on the right doing the same thing. And it's like literally the same triggers, the same emotional triggers are being used on social media, the same visuals, the same lies to try to convince other people what's going on. And this is the side you should join in. Here's what you should believe. And there's no critical thought when you're like, I'm going to retweet this because that looks bad and I'm on that person's side. And then someone will go, okay, really? Because here's what you just retweeted. And they'll delete it and they'll think they're cool to Spenny's point, where it's like, okay, I'm going to retweet that. Now I'm for Palestine or I'm for Gaza or I'm for Hamas. I mean, the advent of social media has destroyed people. And it is destroying any effort that we have trying to get to the bottom of what the fuck is going on, because it's just a big influence thing now.
Like, you do realize that there's generations of kids that don't know history or read anymore because of this technology. And I hate to sound like an old wet blanket, and of course there's exceptions, but from what I see, when I talk to people, absolutely fucking clueless about the history, about any history. Forget this history, which is complex in and of itself. The chickens are coming home to roost, and a lot of it's flying under the woke thing. This is why I want to walk away.
This is different. This is different.
No, man, it's the same. It's the same emotional triggers and the same data points.
Yes, because you guys, not everyone lives on Twitter. Like I had this moment. This was when I got past the Trump thing. I realized that it is a microcosm of society, and you're making your point, Spenny, about not being educated enough about topics like this. That's more to the point. We can't, you can't complicate this by suggesting that what we see on social media every day is somehow representative of real life. Man, there is 90% of the population, people driving around, going to work every day. They're not on fucking Twitter. They don't care.
That's not, dude. But that's not what we're saying.
They don't give a flying fuck about what people are fighting about.
That's not what we're saying.
What makes this different? Hold on, let me finish. What makes this different, Dean, is that everyone is talking about it. Take the Twitter and the social media conversation out of it.
Sure.
It makes it complicated because we all are dealing with this at the workplace. We're dealing with this at the family dinner table. We're dealing with this every day of our lives. It's complicated because we saw and watched and heard things that happened on October 7th, and we were mortified that could actually happen, that people could actually think that that's a good idea to do that. Even harder to understand in Canada, regardless of what side you take.
I know,
and
but
then the reaction happens, and now we got to watch the result of October 7th. And everyone is sitting there going, oh my God, this has to stop. And some people are trying to make it stop on social media. A very small portion think they are having an impact on society by going on fucking Twitter and commenting or fighting with one side or the other. And then there's people that are taken to extremes and go out into the streets. The problem is that no one has the answer. Nobody has the answer. Whether you're on Twitter, Facebook, or you're sitting in front of your fucking family trying to explain this to your kids. That's the big difference here. It's different than being woke over, I don't know, like a trans conversation or something like that.
No,
this is very different.
What I'm saying is they trigger the same people on both sides that stick up for those weird, shitty things that we've seen over the past. It's the same people at the same rallies, just now put in a whole bunch of people that are sympathizers from those countries. Real quick.
Here's an example. Okay, sorry, go.
No, please go ahead. You go.
No, I was going to say, like with the trans thing, I did a modicum, I would say, a bit more than a modicum of research about the issue before I mouthed off about it. I'm still against, trans people in women's sports. I am, and it's not a popular position. I really don't give a fuck. But I at least took the time to understand a situation that's slightly complicated. This situation is infinitely more complicated.
Yes.
And I see a lot of virtue signaling, and now I'm using right-wing language, and I mean it. And it's a lot of virtue signaling. To me, even just saying what Dean said is a virtue signal, because we don't want innocent people to die. It's nice that he thinks that. I think that too. But it's not a deep dive into the complicated issue of the Mideast, which has been going on. And by the way, Lachlan, you can't believe they did it. Big phrase now is listen to what they say, and listen because they'll actually do it. Like Trump is saying he's going to if he becomes president, he's going to put people in jail. I pay attention to that shit. Hamas has been saying all kinds of things for a long time. It's in their charter, for Christ's sake. This shouldn't be such a huge surprise that this happened.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally agree. And they do what they say they're going to do, and it happens all the time if we can believe it from American politicians. I don't know if you guys watched the GOP debate last night. It's just a bunch of fuckwads that are trying to become president. The only takeaway I had was Vivek Ramswarmy. Did you guys see what he said yesterday?
Yes.
Wants to build a wall across 9,000 miles of Canada's
I love
US
that this
border.
is the only clip that anybody's going to take from this whole thing.
No, and the scum. Haley called him. Nikki Haley called him scum.
That's two things.
Yeah.
So this is politics. Yeah. This is I'm disconnected from American politics outside of what I find very fascinating with the Trump family and following the case and everything like that. I don't understand why they have to basically 24 hours a day, like they're campaigning, like 365 days.
Dude, it's America. I want American-style politics in Canada and media in Canada. We'll get to that in a second. Let's watch Vivek. Yes, I do, and I'll tell you why.
This sums up American politics, because these two clips are the only two clips I've seen.
Okay,
loser and the wall, and that's the takeaway from a group of people who are trying to run the goddamn country.
Okay, let me play it. Okay, let me hit play. Let me just hit play. This is Vivek talking about putting a big wall up in the south, and then he stuns everybody in the crowd of these idiots that are like, hey, maybe one of these people can lead the country, by saying he wants to put up a wall between Canada and the U.S. And I'll tell you what I think about that.
A good relationship with that next president of Mexico. We'll use our own military to seal our own southern border. What we need to do is stop using our military to protect somebody else's border halfway around the world when we're short right here at home. Get serious about protecting this border. And then the other thing that hasn't been discussed is the northern border. I'm the only candidate on the stage, as far as I'm aware, who has actually visited the northern border. There was enough fentanyl that was captured just on the northern border last year to kill 3 million Americans. So we got to just skate to where the puck is going, not just where the puck is. Don't just build the wall, build both walls. Can't just complete the wall, use the military to seal the Swiss cheese for the tunnels that they're actually building underneath that wall.
Thank you, Mr. Ramaswamy.
Be practical and actually get this job.
What a fucking idiot. But listen, let me tell you one thing. I completely endorse that message. I mean, we're not building tunnels to get into a country that has a murder rate that rivals the Philippines. We're not digging tunnels to get in there to hang out with them and their 400 million guns and smoke their fentanyl and get food stamps. Like, I don't know. We're no one's doing. Well, I know that, but let me explain something to you. Canada shares about 8,891 miles of border. You got to take that into account, because it's not just the border that we see to the south of us. And let's have a look at this together. You got the Alaska border right here. There you go. Part of Canada shares landmass up north as well. So that's what that is. That's what they want to do. That's what that idiot would like to do. Now, because listen, if you're going to seal that country off and if you're going to cage Americans, let's make sure that cage goes all the way around the country. That's my theory. Number two is, if the goal is to put up that wall, let's make sure it has a fucking door so we can close it and turn America into the Hunger Games, because we can open it up in 5 years and then we'll see who comes out, because I want them all to do it to themselves. Canada is one of the freest, most beautiful countries in the world. We have the longest unprotected border in the free world and have had for hundreds of years. It would cost $6 million per mile, about $27 billion to build, and would take approximately 10 to 12 years. So if that's his great idea, I think Canada should be all in, chip in, And we should all get our hammers and saws, and we should go down to the border and help them, because there is nothing Canadians want more. There is nothing I want to see more than a wall between that shithole, that toilet bowl, and the rest of the tank that we call North America. And that is a fucking fact. And listen, there are about 35 million out of 40 million Canadians. There are 35 million who would say, yes, please.
Yeah.
And it would be only 2 provinces who would have a problem.
I disagree so much with that. Oh my God.
You're allowed.
Yeah, no, I know. First of all,
I'm okay with it.
I lived in the United States for 13 or 14 years. I love the United States. I'm a blues musician. I grew up on the entertainment coming out of the United States of America. I hate parts of it. I hate, what I see happening in the politics. But the United States and Canada, I want it to be like, cousins. I do. I'll never turn my back on America. I think at the end we're watching the politics. I think we're watching the end of Trump and MAGA and the strengthening of the institutions they're trying to break down. I don't know. Maybe I'm sentimental. There's so many great people and great things.
And you're such an optimist.
I am. Well, ultimately with this issue, I am. I see it happening. I mean, Trump's got 91 indictments. The election that just happened the day before yesterday, the Democrats won. We're seeing the throes of frustration and anger and fright from a philosophy of living that's dying. That would be no choice, religious fundamentalism. It's dying. So in that sense, I'm 100% optimistic.
I'm okay with the wall under one condition. There's a bike lane on the top of it. I mean, we got to think about
you can
climate
throw it
change.
at the Americans from the top. Yeah. I like that.
So as long as you can ride your bike or a scooter.
I'm with Locke on this one. Listen, you can get existential all you want. I want the Hunger Games to begin in the United States as soon as humanly possible. You put a wall up on both ends of that country and you just leave them to their own devices and see who's left in 5 years. That's the kind of thing I want. It was sort of like I felt that way during the pandemic when the big vaccine fight. I'm like, listen, just take all the people who don't want to get vaccines, put them in the Rogers Center on a weekend, make sure you throw someone in there that's got a lot of COVID and see who comes out after 72 hours and see how many of those people
want, I'm so glad I jump on this podcast. I get it's heartwarming.
It feels like shtick again, Gene. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I'm being truthful. And the last thing I'll say is this. If we're going to get American style politics in Canada, because we're starting to do some of that. And I find that very entertaining, by the way, like really entertaining. And as much as I don't like the character of the guys like Pierre Poilievre, and as much as I don't like the mudslinging, I really love it because it's great fucking content. Because it's easy to judge character when someone says, I don't like gay people, and they're going to lead the Conservative Party of Canada and possibly the country, which he did the other day. But let me say this. If we're going to do the American style politics, can we bring some American style like media back? Locke and I were talking about this on his radio show in Edmonton.
And I agree with you on this, Dean, too. Yeah, we're simpatical on this as well.
We need, every news outlet needs to put reporters on Justin Trudeau's personal dating history.
Pierre Poilievre, too. Like
Pierre Poilievre, Justin Trudeau. Oh, yeah, dude. Like in America, they got these media outlets that are like, okay.
They're ruthless.
Newsweek, you're going to follow Pierre Poilievre or you're going to follow Justin Trudeau. You're going to follow him into the woods when he's going for a run because we want to know who he's like. We want real paparazzi shit. I want to know everybody's dating history, who they're banging, when they're banging.
By the way,
I want like a blurry picture out of the bushes of Pierre Poilievre leaving a hotel room with
these are all Philistines compared to the UK. The UK press is the most
right.
Yeah.
Is it way more intrusive than? Is it? Okay,
dude.
All right.
Yeah, it's crazy. They do this in the United States, and they do it like England is really where this whole thing started.
They were bugging celebrity and politicians' phones. Murdoch was. They got caught.
Yeah,
I mean,
they bugged Prince Harry's phone.
Yeah,
they did.
Yeah, but
you
yeah,
remember,
but it was like 20
Streisand
grand or
put out a
something,
book.
20,000 pounds. Wasn't it ridiculous amount of money? Like it was just so stupid. Like what he got fined.
But Streisand, and the reason why this came up, and Locke and I were talking about it, Streisand put out a book where she like basically talked about how she used to bang Trudeau's dad. And then, you know, like if you look at the history, if you Google Streisand and Trudeau,
Pierre was a swordsman.
Kinds of paparazzi picture. Yeah, he was a stick man. He liked to get in there, didn't he? He was one of those dudes. I think Justin's the same. The whole country wants to know. And for some reason, Canadian media is like, hey, their personal lives are off limits. I'm like, well, that's
somebody
bullshit.
said to me,
if you're going to go all the way, go all the fucking way.
Somebody said to me on Twitter, that, oh, they're doing it because of the kids. And I'm like, what? You're giving the media some sort of credibility here that they have not like interfered into Justin and Sophie's like personal life because they're worried about their teenage kids. I'm like, oh my God, you are giving way too much credit to the media. I don't know what it is about that relationship and their outside relationships. And we know a little bit about the doctor in Ottawa now, but that was because of somebody got smart and went to the court dockets and pulled information from a separation of the doctor, right? That's the only reason. This family, this Trudeau family, has got their shit together with respect to what they allow to the media.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
I don't like
couple things. I saw Barbara Streisand walk by me once in Malibu, and then I saw her, believe it or not, in a cordoned off smoking room at a sushi bar. When she walked by me, she had the most beautiful green eyes I've ever seen in my fucking life. And Justin's father, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, was completely sexy, which is, you know, he didn't. Oh my God, the intellect was what was attractive about that guy. He was banging Barbara Streisand. I mean, what more do you need? And God knows who else and what else. He was a major coxman, incredible, sexy man. Justin obviously is a very attractive man.
Doesn't have his old man swagger.
I just think it's funny that you want to build a wall, Dean.
Yeah,
I understand the Hunger Games aspect of it, but you also seem to want more of the dirty.
We want a wall with a bike lane.
We want a wall with a bike lane, and we want paparazzi on all of our politicians now. That's what we want. Like, and listen, it's very different because I don't want their guns, their fentanyl, or their idiots and rednecks and militia coming up here to use our casinos or do anything up here. That's my point. But the other thing is that I really do appreciate American style media. I don't know what it is.
I'll tell you what
it is.
I think
it's because it's like
CFL versus NFL.
I lived it.
Yeah.
So Kenny versus Spenny was sold. We were on Comedy Central. Initially on the Game Show Network, then to Comedy Central. The sophistication of media in the United States explains a lot of why the entire world loves Hollywood, because they're very good at it. They're very good at it. Canada, not so much, better than it used to be, but they have it down to a fucking fine art. And I'm talking about studios. I'm talking about promotions, how they deal with the media. It's quite remarkable, and it's to be envied, in my opinion. But I'm an entertainment geek.
Well, we got Jim.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree with you. But it's
You're gonna let that go.
The lack of ethics that I'm interested in. What's that?
What
I said we have Jim, and you guys nothing.
CBC Jim.
But it's funny you say that, because that's kind of the charm of Canada too, that we're not like that. Like, I remember when I lived in the States and we were, working on Kenny versus Spenny, and I would explain to different people about government funding for entertainment. I had to okay, sit down. You don't understand. They never heard of such a thing, right? It's a much more brutal, I guess capitalistic thing than it is.
Did you explain to them that if you were from the East, you were fine, but if you were from the West, you're going to get screwed because it was government dollars?
I did not go into that level of detail.
Oh, okay.
The head would have exploded.
Yeah.
Dude, all I know is that like the hottest topic no one's talking about is who the Trudeaus are banging now. Now we know who she's banging. She's banging a doctor. Now we want to know who he's banging. And listen, the inquiring minds want to know. That is how the world works.
Man, they've got that locked down tight.
Big time.
tight. Like,
yeah,
you know
you
what?
might be better than that. Like, you might be better than me when it comes to wanting that juice, Spenny. You might be better than me when it comes to getting into people's personal lives. And I'm a big live and let live guy, but I want that information. Selfishly,
sure.
I want to know who's banging who.
Again,
and I think the rest of the world does.
We're gone full circle, like celebrity cellulite in National Enquirer. It's shameful, and I feel bad that I as soon as that issue came out, I was at the store looking to see who had cellulite. It's obviously fulfills a human need. Let's just be honest about it, and have fun with it. That's the full circle. Is laughing at toupees. My dad used to call them Davy Crockett's. That is life. That is as a comedian, that's the stuff you live for. The old lady falling on a banana peel. I hope she doesn't break her hip and die in the hospital. But this is what, like, my wife loves watching. If you go on YouTube, they've got like first-rate runway models falling off the runway in their high heels. It's some of the greatest human shit ever, and I always want that.
Yeah, I was in a mall one time and I watched someone take a tumble down the escalators. It was going down, and it wasn't a big one, but it was, probably 10, 15. And this woman, I don't know what happened. She lost her balance and she went like ass over tea kettle, and she was hurt. Like, you can't fall on an escalator. And there was some old woman that was standing to go up the other way, and she started laughing, and she was down on a knee and she was crying, laughing. And this woman is like screaming in agony. And it was all I could do to not laugh because it was so absurd. This woman could not control herself. And I will say, I saw the whole thing. I saw the fall. I saw everything. And it was very funny, but I was able to control outward laughter. But I lost it when the woman took a knee at the bottom of the escalators 3 feet away from this woman in a pile.
Kenny and I had a gig in Saskatoon, and our friend Uncle Bobby from the show lived there. So he came to the show early, and the green room was down some stairs, and he fell ass over tea kettle down the stairs. And everyone was so worried how hurt he was. And I guess I was too. But like Lachlan, I literally had to leave the room. I was in hysterics because I saw him fall and I could not stop laughing. And I didn't want to be that asshole if he broke his neck.
I added a woman laughing at the bottom of the escalators to make me look and feel better. Spenny.
Boys.
You were the woman on. Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny watching people hurt.
Old lady in a banana peel. It's in the.
Never not going to be funny. Yeah. Spencer Rice at Spenny is where you can find him on X. He's not on there anymore. And
I'm on there. I'm just not doing politics.
Okay, he's on there, but he's not doing politics. You can get a hold of him anywhere you want.
You're so full of shit.
No, he's not. He has.
I want to see tape, Mr. Cross. I want.
You
tape
are so full of shit.
Lachlan Cross at Lachlan Cross on Twitter. 957 Cruise FM in Edmonton is where you can listen to him every single weekday morning. He's the host.
I'm much more intelligent on all these social media platforms. Plus, no, you're not. I'm not gonna fucking call it X like you dicks.
You might be one of the worst tweeters on the planet, dude. You are awful at it. I don't know how you have 40,000 followers, but you do.
I'm okay being awful at it. I do it my way. Yeah. I do it my way.
The one thing you can't take away.
Fucking people.
The one thing you can't take away from Mr. Lachlan Cross, he works with a dwarf.
Yes.
That's good. That's
right.
high-end shit. I appreciate it. And I think that guy's fucking great and hilarious.
He's my best friend.
Yeah, I love him.
He might be my only friend.
Give him a kiss for me.
Boys, really good to see you both. Thanks so much for being here, Spen. Thanks, Locke. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Hey, we actually got through this whole podcast without talking about you and I and our little conflict, Spenny.
What, we had a conflict?
You are amazing, and that's part of it right there. I truly love you.
Okay. I love you too.
Yeah.
Talk to you guys soon.
What conflict?
That made it all better.
Okay.
Yeah.
The one in his poison brain. That's the conflict. Thanks, boys. We'll talk to you soon. Spenny, Lachlan, that is it for us. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Appreciate you being here. Thanks so much for having fun with us. Don't forget, you can get everything we do at crier.co. If you want to find the visual versions of these podcasts, you can go to YouTube, Crier Media on YouTube, Dean Blundell Show on YouTube. You can also get us anywhere you get your fine podcasts, Google, Apple, Spotify, etc. And you can follow us, Crier Media on Twitter, @It's Dean Blundell on Twitter. I think I got all those things out. And a big special thank you to our friends at Muse on the Mic, official body rub parlor and podcast of the Dean Blundell Show. Muse on the Mic with Emily and Riley. Go and download and subscribe. These are sex workers and advocates who take you inside the world of body rub, and they talk about, you know, your sexual fantasies, and they also tell you that it's okay, and they also tell you how women in the oldest industry can work safely in the industry. It's a wonderful little podcast, and I highly encourage everybody to go download it. It's called Muse on the Mic, and of course, Muse Massage Spa, 1290 Finch Avenue West in Toronto, Ontario. Anytime you're here, go and see my friends Emily and Riley. They'll help you out. Also, thanks to our friends at Cantork. Go to cantork.com today. New website coming very soon as well. These are makers of the best torque wrenches in the world. If you have a loosening or fastening solution you've been looking for, heavy machinery, nuclear industry, railroad, doesn't matter, oil patch, these guys are the best in the world. They do it for everybody around the world. They're located in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, being they don't manufacture anything overseas. It's kind of a point of pride for Colin and his staff. So visit Colin Livingston at cantork.com today. If you have an application or a solution that you need for bolting, they make it for you in the country that you're proud of, and they also design it, and they'll send it to you, and they'll manufacture it for you, and they'll take care of it for you, and they'll service it for you. That's what they do. Go to cantork.com today for more information. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Thanks for being part of the show. We will see you on Friday. Friday? We back on Friday? Yeah, I think we're back on Friday. It's today Thursday? Yeah, that's tomorrow. Say Friday, and I know it's tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow, friends. Bye.